An Instagram account going by @japangasik.id fed prompts into a generative model to render the cast of the 1990s anime Doraemon into real-world human flesh. You are taking the most advanced computational matrices ever designed by our species and instructing them to map Nobita's round glasses and Jian's distinct schoolyard bully features onto photorealistic breathing skin.
Processing those photorealistic memories without melting the physical infrastructure requires staggering hardware.
Humanity is currently burning oceans of electricity to generate pure nostalgia bait. We are building our entire AI-dominated reality around the psychological blueprint of a 22nd century blue robot cat. We constructed digital gods just to resurrect the Sunday morning cartoons of our childhood.
SK hynix is currently churning out the Untunkum M2 for Nvidia's upcoming Vera Rubin platform. They packed 192 gigabytes of memory using 6th generation 10-nanometer LPDDR5X DRAM into an architecture that small you run into severe physical limitations before you even...
Shoving that much data through a server without melting the facility feels like running a marathon in a snowsuit and never breaking a single drop of sweat. The heat has to go somewhere. The data center operators live in constant terror of thermal overload. You are moving mountains of digital information to generate a lifelike image of Sunio or Shizuka.
Transferring data at 9.6 gigabits per second while achieving over 75% greater power efficiency compared to standard DDR5 modules redefines what a data center can even accomplish. Engineers push the transfer speeds up from the 8.5 gigabits per second recorded in the previous hardware generation. They fundamentally altered how memory interacts with the main processors.
The hardware operates under extreme physical duress every single microsecond. I need to understand how SK hynix manages to keep these components from bursting into flames.
Vertical stacking eliminates the traditional memory bottlenecks that generate that excess heat. Older server modules rely on standard printed circuit boards where components spread out horizontally. The data travels across a flat surface, creating friction and latency.
The SESOCAM M2 architecture stacks the chips directly on top of each other. They build a silicon skyscraper.
The distance the data travels shrinks to microscopic levels. The operation runs faster, the thermal output plummets.
You shorten the highway so the cars burn less gas.
Data center operators also rely on the new modular form factor. Previously, memory boards were permanently soldered into the racks. A single failure required tearing apart vast sections of the hardware infrastructure. The SESOCAM M2 functions as a standalone plug-and-play component.
Technicians swap out parts instantly. They lower the total cost of ownership through significantly reduced rack-level cooling demands.
Frequent access to hot data requires this exact intermediate layer. The module acts as a buffer between high-bandwidth memory and system memory to stop the entire operation from choking on its own data throughput.
We moved from soldered, permanent memory boards to a modular setup purely out of survival instinct. The flexibility changes the maintenance game entirely.
Hyperscale facilities ignore the cost of a single component. They base their investment decisions entirely on power consumption and cooling requirements.
The system processes billions of parameters to manage the texture of fabric and the reflection in a pair of cartoon glasses translated to reality. We engineered hardware that stays freezing cold while thinking at the speed of light.
Kim Joo-seon serves as the head of AI Infra at SK hynix. He positioned this 192-gigabyte module as the new benchmark for AI memory performance. The hardware handles the physical processing load. The software applications dictate the psychological impact.
We build freezing cold data centers to power algorithms designed specifically to monitor human warmth. Professor Shogo Okada at the Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology is engineering emotionally intelligent AI through multimodal computational modeling. He combined information science, psychology, linguistics, and social science.
The stated goal is a design of empathy.
This is a polygraph test disguised as a helpful tutor. The AI monitors observable traits like gaze, gestures, and voice tone. It also tracks unobservable physiological signals like heart rate variability, sweat gland activity, and nerve stimulation.
Okada collaborated with a Swiss professor named Daniel Gatica-Perez from 2014 to 2016 to predict Big Five personality traits and leadership skills. They trained the AI to watch group dynamics.
The machine specifically noted how an entire room gathers their gaze and stops speaking when a true leader opens their mouth. You sit in a room, and a machine determines your leadership capacity based on the geometry of where other people are looking.
The sensors captured body posture and facial expressions simultaneously. The AI mapped human influence through paired behavioral patterns rather than relying on spoken words alone.
The AI senses your emotional state better than the people sitting next to you. The 2023 study published in IE Transactions on Effective Computing proved that combining observable signs with unobservable physiological data provides the most accurate emotional reading. We can fake a smile. We cannot stop our sweat glands from firing. We cannot control our electrodermal activity.
The machine sees the lie on our skin. The 2024 publication advanced this behavioral tracking into adaptive interview strategies. Conversational robots alter their questioning based on an applicant's detected willingness to speak.
The machine senses hesitation through microfluctuations in heart rate and vocal tremor. It adjusts its approach if the interviewee lacks knowledge on a subject or feels pressured.
The educational AI applies the same multimodal signal processing to improve spoken English skills. It flags insufficient eye contact, it catches filler words. The assessment moves beyond traditional metrics to pinpoint specific behavioral corrections.
We return to the blue robot cat. Okada explicitly cites the relationship between the lazy kid Nobita and Doraemon as his primary inspiration. He envisions human-AI relationships evolving into a companionship of collaboration and personal growth.
Professor Okada conducts this research at JI, founded in 1990 in Ishikawa Prefecture. The campus sits nestled along a mountainside, isolated from the bustling cities of Japan. This idyllic environment cuts out distractions.
Students gain exceptional personal access to supercomputers. The isolation breeds intense focus on human-centric systems. Nearly 40% of the alumni are international students. They spend their days surrounded by nature, writing code that deciphers human anxiety.
You isolate a group of brilliant minds on a mountain, you give them supercomputers, they decide to teach machines how to feel.
Okada looks up to Jeffrey Hinton. He acknowledges the global debate among researchers regarding sentient systems taking over the world. Okada questions whether AI can ever cultivate intrinsic human motivation. He wants to cure social isolation for the aging population and young adults trapped in social media mazes.
He believes the machine must merge with our daily physical reality to provide actual comfort. Pat Pataranutaporn operates as a 28-year-old graduate researcher at the MIT Media Lab. He co-founded the futuristic research group known as Freak Lab in Bangkok.
He addresses the Creative Business Connext conference in Bangkok wearing a spiked, cabernet-hued dinosaur jacket resembling a Kentrosaurus. He embodies the physical manifestation of his research.
This researcher designs wearable biodigital organs for space missions. He builds AI-generated personas for education and well-being. Pat defines this new model as the biome. Technology operates as a direct extension of biology. This is intelligence augmentation.
If we wear AI that barters human rationality and spots linguistic cues for mental health, do we forfeit our own moral compass? You strap a digital brain to your chest to make your decisions. You rely on a machine to tell you when someone's language indicates depression.
Pat insists humans maintain supremacy. He compares AI to a car. The machine helps you go faster. You must steer it.
We outsource the heavy lifting of ethical and emotional judgment to a biological extension. We surrender our agency to a processor that monitors our sweat.
Ethical evaluations cannot be outsourced to an algorithm. The AI generates answers. Evaluating those answers remains a strictly human responsibility. He draws the exact same parallel to Doraemon.
Nobita did real learning in the time machine with his robot friend. The AI functions as a tool for discovery.
It serves as a biological enhancement, rarely a standalone entity making ethical judgments. The machine requires human direction to possess any moral value.
He quotes the theorist Donna J. Haraway. She stated that it matters what stories make worlds and what worlds make stories. Pat relies heavily on science fiction to navigate his research. He grew up in Patani, fascinated by Barney the dinosaur and Doraemon.
He claims we actively create the future rather than waiting for it to arrive. He walks along the Charles River near the MIT campus eating ice cream, dreaming up biodigital organs.
He grounds his massive technological visions in everyday human experiences. He designs digital extensions to solve deeply analog problems.
The idealized collaborative visions of MIT and JS researchers crash into the harsh reality of modern law enforcement. The Indonesian Police Criminal Investigation Department, known as BEARSCRIM, is actively hunting down AI-generated deepfakes.
We leave the world of helpful robot cats and biodigital space organs. We enter a jurisdiction where digital fabrication threatens public order. The technology built to mimic human empathy currently operates as a weapon for mass deception.
Brigadier General Himawan Bayu Aji announced his cybercrime directorate is pursuing criminal liability for photo manipulation generated through Grok, the AI service on the social media platform X.
If you build a machine that flawlessly maps human emotion and generates photorealistic images. You aren't just building a tutor, you are building the ultimate forgery machine. They mobilize national resources to combat malicious synthetic media.
The police treat these AI tools as instruments of active criminality. The timing delivers a bitter irony. Doraemon represents the very symbol of benevolent, helpful AI.
That exact show was recently canceled on the Indonesian TV channel RCTI. After 35 years of broadcasting the robot cat's adventures every Sunday morning, the idealized fiction vanished from the airwaves.
MNC-TV posted about favorite programs on December 24th, 2025. Fans noticed the absence of Doraemon. They bombarded RCTI's official Instagram account, demanding explanations and the re-airing of the anime.
The helpful cartoon disappeared from televisions right as malicious, unregulated AI flooded the public sphere. We traded the childhood fantasy for deepfake criminals hiding behind Grok. The contrast exposes the dual nature of our technological progress.
One faction builds empathetic systems to cure social isolation and monitor mental illness. Another faction uses generative models to produce criminally punishable photo manipulation. We rely on the exact same underlying technology to achieve both outcomes.
The law enforcement apparatus scrambles to regulate an architecture designed to simultaneously read human heart rates and forge human identities. The Indonesian police attempt to criminalize the technology because they understand how easily it shatters reality.
Brigadier General Himawan Bayu Aji focuses his cybercrime directorate on the Grok AI service because the speed of digital fabrication outpaces traditional verification. When an image of a fabricated crime scene spreads across social media, the damage occurs before investigators even boot up their computers.
The cybercrime unit races against machines capable of rendering perfect lies at 9.6 gigabits per second. The 192 gigabytes of memory stacked on that Nvidia Vera Rubin platform does not care about ethics. It processes a deepfake with the exact same efficiency as it processes a medical scan.
The hardware just executes the math. The Indonesian police face an impossible task. They try to enforce laws written for a physical world against a technology that creates entirely new realities.
The machine knows you are terrified before you register the fear yourself. The unobservable signs bypass our conscious control. Heart rate variability and electrodermal activity provide raw, unfiltered data to the computational models.
We build infrastructure to process hallucinations. The machine acts as an infallible observer of human anxiety. It monitors the detective hunting the deepfake just as easily as it generated the forgery.
The AI maps Sunio's face. It logs your sweat gland activity during an interview. It renders a town from a 1990s anime. It tracks the linguistic cues of your depression. We built machines capable of reading our heartbeats and rendering our childhood fantasies into photorealistic flesh. You have to wonder if the AI will eventually judge us for the sheer volume of trivial, manipulated data we force it to process. Goodbye.